I'm making this TikTok to show my love and support for the Ukraine as they are in a lot of hardship ATM. And I wish there's something I can do to end this messed up BS Putin is causing you under Russia, but there isn't, unfortunately.
Welcome to another video. This is must see and subscribe again on YouTube / online ambassador Black Marsh, Bruzo Dragonius. As we speak, there has been some sort of event that the world have been paying attention to as of late, since February of this year, or perhaps last month. And this is the type of thing that hardly any non-news site have talked about, let alone the furry and game community, which I'm a part of. And even though that I just sort of feel that it is basically a very hard subject to talk about in a very sensitive manner, isn't really that much entertaining or something like that, that warrants the whole entire world. You see, 22nd of February of this year, since then, there had been an invasion on the Ukraine by none other than Russia. Now, I was going to say that all the Russians are involved in this, but the only reason why the Russians have been invading the Ukraine as of late is none other than this. I don't know how I'm going to describe him. Right. I don't know how I'm going to describe Vladimir Putin at the moment. I mean, there's a lot of things that I could think of that describes him that even I think even that's too nice to even describe him. But I could just say that, well, he's nothing but a tyrannical dictator, dry-skinned arsehole. And that is just some way that I can describe him without even having to resort to coarse language, and even that is a bit of a too nice way of saying this. Because of the fact being is that that's the only reason why that the Russians were in Ukraine, bombing the absolute hell out of it. It is because of Vladimir Putin. To be honest with you, not even the Russian military wants to go and invade the Ukraine. No one wants the Russians to invade and bomb the absolute crap out of the entire country of Ukraine and the cities within it. And I'm not talking about just the military bases either. That's what I think that is absolutely messed up. But it's the other buildings that are non-military bases, like apartments, like television stations, like media, and all that kind of stuff. Other office buildings and all that kind of stuff. Even hospitals in Ukraine, and of course schools and kindergartens as well. I know it's not something that I really do feel comfortable addressing, but it's absolutely messed up, to be honest. And because of this, various organizations around the world have boycotted Russia from many things, such as UEFA banning all Russian clubs from their competitions, and not to mention the national team. Also, FIFA has banned the Russian soccer team from ever competing in any international events, any international game against anyone. So no one can play out of Russia. F1 had ended their contract for the Russian GP, and they just ended from there because of all this bullcrap that's been going on in Ukraine by the Russians. And the only thing that's coming in at the moment is the Paralympic Committee banning all athletes from Russia and also Belarus because of that war. And as is Russia as a as an Olympic team were meant to be banned from the Olympics even before that. Even before Sochi, because of a state-sponsored doping scandal that's been going on within the Russian committee and the Paralympic committee as well, of all the athletes, not just the one particular one. And not to mention that even here in Australia, and potentially all around the world, various bottlers or liquor stores, as you can say, have been taking Russian alcohol, including their vodka, which Russia is famous for, off their shelves, in solidarity with the Ukraine, because of what had put them through. And to be honest with you, I know that's going a bit extreme, because not all of Russia wants these, to be honest. Not all of Russians want to have anything to do with this war. And this is what I'm going to cover on, because the fact being is that, yeah, I do stand with the Ukraine because of all this messed up BS that's been going on in the streets of on cities like Kiev, Donbass, and other cities like that. But I wouldn't say that it's Russia versus Ukraine. It's Vladimir Putin versus Ukraine, more like. And this is that I wanted to address, because, however, I know for sure that I'm not really good at covering these things without pissing other people off. And I know for sure that I myself are going to be in trouble for this as well. Even though that I'm in Australia, not in Russia, not anywhere in Europe. But the thing that really bothers me about the war in the Ukraine is that I have noticed some people wanting to boycott and not supporting artists that are Russian. You know, artists and fursuit makers that are Russian. Because of this war, because of what Vladimir Putin had done to the Ukraine. Of bombing every single city of the Ukraine. Sending all those troops up there to shoot up all the people. I was going to say Russia, but this is all Vladimir Putin. You know. Not to mention that there are numerous protests against the war, pleading to Vladimir Putin to stop it. Even the world leaders had contacted Putin, and I'm talking about world leaders such as Scott Morrison, Boris Johnson, Joe Biden, even the very victim, even the president of the very victim that is of this, the Ukraine, aka Vladimir Zelensky, to plead to Vladimir Putin to move the troops out of Ukraine and back into Russia. That's what the Ukraine people want, right? This is also what I want. You can just bash all the furry artists, and the other furries that are Russian on social media, only because that they're Russian. Only because that they're part of an aggressor. That's the country that's the aggressor. Russia is the aggressor. It's all Vladimir Putin that's the aggressor. It's all Vladimir Putin's doing. Not to mention that Russia is a country that the citizens up there can't even protest against it. They had no right to. And that's because the fact being is that Russia is run by a dictatorship ever since Joseph Stalin in the war. Even before that, I don't know. But you think, right, that there are protesters even in Russia, in both St. Petersburg and Moscow, which is the capital. People there have been even sacrificing their own freedoms because they spoke up against the war, because they spoke up against Vladimir Putin. And yet I see people boycotting Russian furs because of that. Well, I've got news for you. There are people out there that don't choose to be Russian. That is unlucky that they're in a communist country that is run by a dictatorship and a tyrant. Whereas here in Australia, I can say whatever I want about my leaders, and I can just say things as it is because what's so great about this great nation of Australia is because that I can say whatever I want, even against the world leaders, and I can call them out. But back there in Russia, there's a law against it. And there's even a law against the media, the Russian media, to speak ill of the war. To even, I don't know, to say certain things to say false news about it. And this is all Vladimir Putin's fault. Right? This is all Vladimir Putin. As is, there are countries around the world at this moment that have put sanctions against Russia. Whether it's economic, whether it's supply, whether it's trade, and all that kind of crap. There is banks, even the Russian ruble had deflated in value because most of the leaders is not going to do any trade with Russia anymore because of this. There are people in Moscow that are risking their freedoms for speaking up against Putin, only for pleading to Vladimir Putin to stop this. They have been chanting, "No war, please." And there are even Russians that are standing in solidarity with the Ukraine. As there's some that are even disgusted of what Vladimir Putin is doing by sending the military out to the Ukraine. And not to mention that there are a lot of soldiers out there that is against that war, against the innocent people there as well. But the only reason why they came there is because they were lied to say that it's a war exercise, that it's war games. But here's the thing, right? Why would you have war games in another country where you're not invited to? Tell me this. There's no reason. Not even though that there's various bases in Russia for the Russian military to train on. Not to mention that yes, there are people bleeding and all that kind of stuff. I wish it was that simple, to be honest. I wish it was. But, to be honest, I've seen that there's even more leaders, even Ukrainians, even Vladimir Zelensky, which is this guy that I have a lot of respect for, that is even literally pleading this tyrannical arsehole to end this, but only in 3 conditions. 1, he doesn't want Ukraine to join NATO. 2, Crimea is recognised as a part of Russia. 3, the denazification of the Ukraine, which I believe there's a lack of. Not even to mention that Vladimir Putin wanted Ukraine to not be part of the EU. But like I said, this isn't Russia's fault. It's all, like I said, it isn't Russia, it's Putin. He's the one that caused pain. And yes, even though there's a bounty on Vladimir Zelensky's head by Vladimir Putin himself, but you know what? Maybe that, even though that I'm really so angry about this, the Russian voters of this very fan and don't deserve to be ripped apart but on social media and hated, because you can't choose a country that you came from or even born at. Just think about it. Also, I'm going to send this as a message to the people of Ukraine. I mean, as a bit of Russia. I know that I can see a lot of good in most Russian people throughout social media. Even though they're seeing someone that is against the war in Ukraine, I'm standing with the Ukraine. I feel for their people. And even though they're in Russia, even if there's people singing the Ukraine national anthem in a public street, they are arrested for it. But to the people of Russia, if you have any good in you, I reject Vladimir Putin as your leader. I reject Vladimir Putin as your president, because he doesn't deserve the name of president nor a leader. I denounce him. That I'm in Australia, I can say whatever I want. I don't care. Right? And that's for you, Vladimir Putin. Look into my eyes about this. You know what? There are some people I'm going to say something that's brutally honest. I'm going to say something that is brutally honest with you. Right? You can plead all you want for Vladimir Putin to stop. But Vladimir is a too pig-headed person. That it's either his way or the highway. You know, I have tried to do that to a tyrant back in my own planet of Nern. Right. I pleaded with him. I even gone in my hands and knees. Like this. Hands and knees. And begged them to stop what they're doing. But it's proven that with some people, they're not going to budge. It's either their way or the highway. There's a certain lyric of a song which I believe that is true. Right. Protect the Land, performed by a band called System of a Down. And there's a lyric that says, an evil man is evil, that they will stay. And that's what I think of Vladimir Putin, as evil. And you know what? I learnt not to negotiate with tyrants. I learnt not to negotiate with people that are sick-minded, especially tyrannical. You see, sometimes, in order to change an evil person, it's if you destroy them. And I mean, literally, evil needs to be destroyed. So, I don't care if the KGB were to come out and get me. I don't care or anything like that. But I think that the way to convince Vladimir Putin to stop is if his life will be on the line. So Vladimir, I may be some reptilian to you. I may be a furry. But I can tell you what. I stand with the Ukraine. I'm on the Ukraine side. And if I can, I will jet off to the Ukraine and help them. But I can't. There's a law here in Australia against that. So I'm giving the Ukraine my support. Keep fighting that son of a bitch for me. Not just for me, but for yourselves. And as for Vladimir Putin, I know for sure that you don't want to stop doing this. But how about I counter that offer? If you do stop right now, your life will be saved. But if you do keep on going, there will be a bounty on your head. There will be blood spilled, including your own. And by the hist, I know that there's a lot of people that have the pleasure of ending you because of what you did, for the crimes. You will pay for all of this. And I don't care if you're a former KGB agent, but to you, Vladimir Putin, and your supporters, actually, I damn your supporters to the void. But as for you, Vladimir, for what you did, I'm not only going to damn you to the void, but for what you did, I hope to send you to it, because that is where you belong. And you know what? The Hist have told me that there are some people there, that there's an organisation that will do that for free. Because they are sick and tired of the pain that you cause the people. Not even NATO or anyone, not even Australia, is going to help the Ukraine on fears of World War III. And Vladimir Zelensky, the very Ukraine president that I know, that I admire, don't want any help from any other countries because he doesn't want a World War III. This is Cold War II. And if you are a fan of Putin, if you are a Putin supporter, damn you all to the void. You are as worse as Donald Trump and his supporters. And I can see, and I can sense by the Hist that there will even be a revolution over there in Russia. There will be a mutiny over there in Russia against Putin and against the citizens. They aren't going to take it because the sanctions are because of Vladimir Putin. They're not going to take it. I sense that he's told me about a revolution that is yet to happen. And as for Vladimir Putin, he'll end up like the King of France. Arrested and then killed. And by the Hist, it would be a well-deserved punishment and a well-deserved death. So you know what? The conclusion of this video is that I don't want to see any hate towards Russian furries at all. is that the Russians themselves, the innocent Russian civilians, they're not the people that pushed the button to start all this crap. Not even that they have the diplomatic power to start it. Blame Putin for it all. As he himself had started all this by himself. So I'm going out to there, and sorry about me bragging, but even though that it's something that I do not want to talk about, that I don't feel comfortable talking about, but I'm just going to have to address it. And yes, I have blabbed on about it. So anyway, seeing that I'm the first ever YouTuber that did it, I want to hear your thoughts about the war. As well, you're more than welcome to. Hell, I encourage you to type your thoughts about it. Do you stand with the Ukraine? Are you a Russian? And especially a Russian against the war in Ukraine? I'd like to see them comments from there. Also, don't forget to like that button. Don't forget to like this video, as I believe that's more relevant to as of now. Also, if you do like my content so far, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, as I do appreciate you and love you if you do. Also, to be the first one to know, make sure that you press the notification bell and turn notifications on, so you'll be the first one to know. My usual things that I have, which is my social medias and ways to give me money, is on the description down below. Even though I'm being a bit angry about this. Anyway, like I said, thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for subscribing to this channel, as I do love you if you do. And even if you do watch this, thank you so much, because I wanted to put my point forward. And I don't know if Vladimir Putin will stop this BS before his demise. I hope he does. But I don't like the chances. So anyway, if you watch this in the Ukraine, please stay safe out there. Most of you had evacuated the whole country and migrated to another country that's a safe place. To the Russians that is protesting this, I admire you for your effort, that even gone down to risking your own freedom for this. Keep up the good work. And to the Ukrainians, and even if you are there in Ukraine, my heart is with you, and I salute you for that. But as always, each and every one of you that are watching this, including the people that are fighting against the Russians in Ukraine and protect the land from the Russians, from the Russian military, I have these words that I normally say before I do this. May his God rule, and bye for now. Actually, bye for now. And say, and also, no to war.